1348 Voto is a game that positions itself as a game for modern audience, a very woke game. But let's put the ideology aside, let's close our eyes on that and on the culture war, and look at the game out of context. Recently the demo for the game came out, and to be honest, I was surprised just how bad the game is. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't expecting wonders, but the game surprised me nonetheless. The demo is 15 minutes long, from which 5 minutes is the cutscenes and 5 minutes of tutorial. Now that aside, again we're gonna be as objective as possible. The demo starts with an opening cutscene, and here we're gonna see the only good thing about the game. That is voice acting. Particularly the voice acting of Jennifer English, aka Mael, aka Shadowheart. I guess it is her passion project because she is very passionate about being gay. She basically tainted her career with this project, and she basically took one for the team. Literally. She voice acted for 3 games of the year, that being Elden Ring, Baldur's Gate 3 and Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Now she's in this game too. And I don't think she will suffer much because her acting was still good. But the issue is that the great voice acting was accompanied by a terrible lip sync and a terrible face animations in general. Like, it was literally terrible. You know what, I will give an advice to the developers. In cases like this, when you don't have good facial animations, but you have good VAs, just don't show their faces at all. It just looks bad. At first I thought that the game didn't have mocap, but then I saw a video from the development, and there I saw that they did in fact have mocap. And I literally don't get how it is possible to mess up facial animations that was mocapped. It is not like it is early 2000s where mocap was hard and expensive. Just look at Expedition 33, they did mocap with phones, and it was amazing. Like, the developers literally didn't care while creating 1348, it is just a bad job done. It is literally a cash grab at this point. And I'm not even demanding good facial animations, but if at least the game had good lip sync, it would not be that terrible. But no, they literally don't care to lip sync their starting cutscene. I don't remember a game to have such bad facial animations in years. Like, if you look at the original Oblivion, even though Oblivion had very simple facial animations, but the lip sync was good. You need to probably go to Half-Life 1 to compare the facial animations to this game. It is literally crazy how bad it is. Now, that aside, the story of the game, at least from the demo, is a generic story like revenge rescue story. And on one hand, yes, many good games have a generic story. For example, the story of Kingdom Come Deliverance. It is almost the same. But unlike in KCD, you don't expect anything from 1348. While playing KCD, you know that it is an RPG. You will have a lot of freedom to upgrade, customize, encounter a lot of characters and do side missions in a vast open world. That is not the case with 1348. I mean, the point of a demo is to hook the player to want to play the game. Did the demo really hook the player? Not with the bad facial animations, not with a generic story. Well, maybe gameplay is good. Again, we had almost no gameplay in the demo. We encountered like 10 NPCs max. But even here we're able to see how bad it is, especially the AI of the NPCs. They're blind, deaf and stupid. They don't see you approaching, and even if they do and there are more than one of them, they literally wait for their turn to fight you. You know, in KCD you also often fight one-on-one when there's a group of enemies, but in KCD the NPCs are constantly trying to flank you. That is not what is going on in 1348. They just stand there and wait for their turn. It is probably the worst AI that I've seen in a while. Now, an interesting thing happens when you die in the game. When you die, you get respawned near a death point with your HP full. I don't know, maybe it is only the demo thing, but if it will work the same way in the full game, and I assume it will work the same way in the full game, it is literally garbage. It is an extremely lazy approach to game design. Like, in the game we can consume items to replenish our HP. It is nothing new for gaming to replenish HP with items. In good games, game designers carefully place and balance healing items and resources on the map to measure the amount of mistakes the player can do to pass the level. For example, in Resident Evil games, the game gives you a certain amount of resources and you have to clear a level with that amount of resources. And if you run out of resources, you don't have enough to beat the boss and stuff like that. So if you make too many mistakes, you have to restart. Again, the game designers balance resources on the map carefully to not softlock the players, but at the same time to not make the game too easy. That's what good games do. What 1348 does is that they go with the lazy method. They don't balance anything because it is hard. They just give you full HP back and you can start over again. It is an extremely lazy and brain-dead method. Like Souls games do something similar, but in Souls games you are sent back to the last bonfire. Estus is your resources and you have to play good or lose your progress. You don't get all of your health back and spawn near the place of your death. That's not how good games are designed. Now, before the conclusion, I want to point out the last cutscene of the demo. Right before that, we fight like 4 NPCs in a row, and when we defeat them right after that, the cutscene begins. But all of a sudden the square is clear. There are no dead NPCs that we defeated. Like again, they didn't care. Normally in games like KCD, The Witchers and games like that, after a fight when you go immediately in a cutscene, you usually see the character strike the last opponent, and then the game proceeds with the actual cutscene. But not in this game. They didn't care. They didn't care that an NPC asked our character whose blood is on us. They didn't care that there is no blood on us, or on the sword, because there is no blood in the game. And if that's the demo, which is supposed to be the most polished part of the game, I don't want to find out how the rest of the game is. Look, we had similar games that were good. We had Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, with a similar gameplay, but the NPC AI was much better. The story was much better and the visuals were much better. The audio was phenomenal and it was actually a good feature of the game. We had a Plague Tale games, where again it had better visuals, unique and interesting story, and cool gameplay mechanics with the rats. Aside from that, you can play KCD games, The Witcher games and be happy. Like, because there is no reason to play 1348 over any of other games. Like, what is special about that particular game? What is the feature, the selling point? Because it seems there's none. Again, the Plague Tale has the rat mechanic that is unique to the series. The Hellblade has its cool sound design. Like, there's literally no reason to play 1348. Then what is the purpose of the game's existence? The only thing that comes to mind is that the game is a cash grab meant to be sold to a certain group of people. Though I don't think they will get the cash. I don't think there's a large enough audience for that. But overall, so far, I would say that the game is 3 out of 10. Very lazy cash grab. But if you're still here, how about checking out my other videos that are more meaningful than this one? How about a video about Japanese game development? A video discussion on whether games are art? A lot of tops, analytics and critiques. Subscribe now to not lose it, and see you in my other videos.